Lucky we're not live streaming, eh?
Okay, in action. So,
Welcome to the Package Weekly Retrospective. I'm getting deja vu pretty hard right now. Do you want to kick it off, please, Tim?
yeah, I would say just one of the things that went not so well for me this week was working with a enterprise customer on troubleshooting an issue that they had. The way that the request went from their account rep to us, an issue wasn't opened, and there was really not great communication to solve the problem. So that was a little frustrating. I'd like to resolve that to make sure we improve that moving forward. And then not really that it didn't go well, but I had big plans for the week. I wanted to tackle a lot of big issues, but ended up getting sucked into a lot of, there was a lot more little details that I needed to get done before I could work on those big issues. So it was helpful, but a little disappointing that I didn't get to tackle the sort of the bigger problems. Felt like I wanted to climb Everest and I just got to base camp and got all my stuff there. So now I'm like, now I'm ready to go to the next phase, but I thought I would be further along.
So I had just my few small things that kind of went not so well. Just overall kind of like diving into the Docker registry and, how all of that works and everything to do with it. There's just so much information, and it's kind of one of those things where like the deeper you go, the more there is. So it's just sort of a feeling of, I've still got a ways to go in terms of learning all that, which is expected. And in addition to that, just not really getting as much time to work on the NPM subgroup issue as I had hoped. There's just a lot of other stuff going on this week, which has been good. There's tons of work, so that's exciting. But yeah, hopefully be able to get back into that one over the next few days.
Cool. Thank you. And I'm not sure if people feel like good about making this an interactive experience, but you definitely, if you're feeling like a little bit unsure about where you're going, we tried to make sure you have a buddy with Jason and other people, and if there's anything that I can be doing to help there, please let me know, and I'll keep an eye on your one-on-ones closely to try to do that. Yeah, for me, I think. I still feel like I'm getting up to speed. I mean, it's week 6, so that's expected, like you said, right, Steve? It's like, yeah, it's kind of expected that you don't know things. But it feels a little frustrating because I'm like, there's so much I want to be doing, and there's a lot of surprises or at least new knowledge that I'm getting, which is good as well, I suppose. A lot of management-y side things. Next one was lots of work to be getting to a point where we can move forward with the container registry. I have a lot of things to get together. I had a chat in my one-on-one with my director, and yeah, that's been helpful. But I still know there's a lot to get through, and there's a lot to learn in that process as well. But that's not such a bad thing. That's it for me.
So for me then, I was just getting a little bit, not frustrated is the wrong word, but just wasn't sure about myself with one of my merge requests that I was doing for one of my issues where, because I'd done like an experimental change on the back end, just so that I could do the front end development work, it was throwing a lot of errors when it was doing the pipeline jobs when I was committing to the merge request. And I wasn't 100% sure, like how to fix those, or whether or not I was going to cause problems by just constantly pushing up, because there was quite a few that I had to work through like one at a time, and like it would be a push and then wait for the job to sort of fail and then figure out what went wrong and then do another push. And I had to do that sort of 3 or 4 times. It's just a little bit unsure about myself, I suppose, when it comes to that.
Yeah, Nick, John actually tagged me, I think, in that issue and asked me to see if I could find some help for you. So I feel like I dropped the ball a little bit there. So I apologize for that.
Sorry, yeah, it was nothing to do with that. It was more about just the process of going through it and just not really perhaps understanding it, or just being a bit new to it, I guess, and unsure about how to proceed, I think was probably it for me. I appreciate I appreciate that. I'll be waiting for some resource to actually be available to have a look at those issues. That's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Daniel, no, not at all. I just want to mention that. Like, thank you for saying that, but we're totally good. No ball dropping. No balls were dropped. So for me, Geekbot, my only bad thing, I feel like this week went pretty well from my perspective. So Geekbot ignored me for a couple days, had me really wondering if it was me, if I did something. Daniel said I missed its birthday. That's probably true. So I was a little bit upset about that. I felt like I wasn't able to accurately report what was going on. So my week was just, I kind of updated everybody today. Geekbot picked me back up today. So I feel good about that. We're friends. Geekbot and I are friends again, but just wanted to mention that was kind of a bummer.
Cool. So I think that's it. Anything else on what went not well? Okay, so I could start with what went well. Had a great conversation, asynchronous conversation with Amelia and Dimitri about improving navigation for overall package features. So combining it under one top level nav and what does that look like? It was great going back and forth with a designer and getting feedback and updating the issue was really helpful for me. I thought all the conversations that Daniel and Steve, that you guys were having with people like Camille and Marin were really helpful for me to listen into and to help capture some notes. It was really great to see how those conversations are progressing and to see how sort of your minds are changing as the conversations happen. So I was really glad to be a part of that. And the getting our SMAO metrics almost defined and approved by Jason and Eric is another big step. So we'll have to start tracking them, which will be important, but at least we'll have a metric defined and we'll be able to actually start measuring eventually how our product is doing and making decisions based on data.
Yeah, and I can second actually that the calls about the container registry with various people, those have been great for me. They're giving some good insight and giving me places to look and learn as well. So those are very good and helpful for me. And then the big thing that's been going really well this week for me is my first merge request. I've been learning a ton about just like how the process works. I had some really good discussions about code and just object-oriented stuff in general, which was fun, and some good feedback. So that one's moving along quite well, and hopefully it'll get merged pretty soon.
That's awesome, and that links into one of my one of my things that went well is this. I feel like you're getting up to speed really quick, Steve, and your work is really appreciated, and it's really exciting for me to see, and it makes me really happy that you're actually getting integrated. I went and looked at that MR that you had and all the feedback you're getting, and it looked really cool. Initially, I went looking for it in the EE repo, and I couldn't find it. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's a CE feature.
And then I went and looked at it, and I was like, yes, that's awesome. So super glad that's happening. For me, lots of work to be done on the container registry maturity. So I have this as a negative and a positive because it's really exciting actually, and we're doing a lot of really good work, having some good conversations. So I feel like this is one of the areas where I feel like I'm actually like doing something valuable and succeeding, even though often it feels like I'm just sort of always learning new things and realizing I got to do stuff different or whatever it is. So this has been really cool. And I feel like I feel like I'm getting a bit more of a handle on things, which is nice. There's a lot to learn and take in here. And particularly excited about hiring. We actually had someone sign who will be starting in early July. That person is in APAC, which will be very exciting. I'm going to reach out to Dylan for some help there to have a localized onboarding buddy, at least in the same time zone. And we also are sending out an offer for somebody who is going to be a senior. And that's really important for our team. I want to make sure we have someone that's like legit senior and that we can have people teaching each other and stuff. So very excited about that. Cool. On to you, John.
Thanks, Daniel. So yeah, just wanted to say positive for me is Nick is nearly onboarded. I think we're pretty close to wrapping that up. And he's also doing a great job digging into his first couple issues. We had a chat. We had a chat earlier this week about the issue, Daniel, that you had mentioned. And so, Nick, I'm just feeling very positive. I think you're doing an awesome job. And so thank you for all of that. Just wanted to share that.
Cool. Thanks a lot. So as for me, started to write my first bits of front-end code this week, which was really cool. And that they went well, like the front-end pieces went well, and like the testing and learning how the testing framework stuff works was interesting, and that went really well as well. And I feel pretty confident that we can sort of do some really cool stuff on the front end for the container registry stuff. I've got lots of ideas and like lots of feedback that I need to write down and share out so that it can be discussed. But yeah, on the whole, feeling really positive about what can actually be done here, and the opportunity that is in front of us as well for what we can do here as well. It's really cool. Other than that, I had some really cool like coffee chats and things with that, and more interaction with more developers over the course of the week, which has been really awesome as well. So and just in general, it's been a fantastic second week for me.
Yeah, Nick, I just want to say we're all really glad you're on the team. It's awesome to have like us turning into an actual team. So as opposed to just being poor Tim sitting there by himself going, when do I get people to be in my team to help me? And so I think as we've added people, I'm sure we've all had that experience of being like, you said it was a team, right? So it's great to have you here. It's awesome. We're definitely going to try to manage some of the meetings. And I've been speaking with other managers about how they handle having, these really disparate time zones, because two of the engineers who are starting in August, one is in Romania and one's in Switzerland. And then the engineer starting in July is actually in Australia. So that means we're spread all over the globe. So we're going to come up with strategies to sort of allow people to be in meetings. That'll mean we won't all be able to go to all of the meetings. But it'll mean that we want to schedule regular meetings for people so that people can like just get to see each other, because that's really important, I think. But bear with me while we figure that out. I definitely would like people's input, John, or anyone who's sort of that experience. If you want to sort of offer suggestions on how we might go about doing that, please feel free. Put it in package channel. Happily discuss everything out in the open. I don't need to have private conversations about that stuff. Action items, I think probably Tim put these down, asking whether we think we should do quick demos in this meeting. Everyone can speak up if you feel passionate about it.
I thought it would be cool to get more involved in some, even if it's just a quick review of something that you've been working on. It doesn't even have to be related to work. It's something that just give people the chance to show something specific and talk about it. Because I really like the what did we learn portion of our stand-up each day. It'd be cool if we had a piece of this retro that was like, and here's something that I learned this week, or here's something I'm excited about that I thought would be worth showing, even if it's just like a minute or two, as an optional piece of this meeting.
Yeah, I feel like I actually really like that. I've worked in companies where we have a scheduled lunch and learn, or Thursday learnings, we call it, and where people can just talk about something. It doesn't even have to be work related, where you're doing a presentation. It helps you start learning how to communicate effectively with everyone, right? So there's a lot of benefits to that, aside from just, here's the thing I did, which is really cool too, right? Like, I want to see what people are working on. Well, I should know that already, but you know what I mean. But I wouldn't want to muddy up the retro with that. So I actually really like that idea, but I think it probably better served having a meeting for that, either regular or so when I get to the end of a feature. So, something that Steve might be working on right now is handling, some response code or something. And that's not super flashy to show off. So he might just not want to like do a presentation on it, but maybe he does. Maybe he's excited about it. Maybe Nick does some front end thing that looks awesome, and he's like, this thing is really cool, I want to show us that. And that's something that he's motivated to do a couple of minutes talk on. So I really like that idea. But I think it'd be better served in another format. What does everyone else think about it?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's always fun to kind of like just show off and share. It's hard to say like how often that would be, but yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, was that you, John? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Daniel. Thanks. I was going to say, I like it as well. I think it's a really cool idea. I agree. Also, it might muddy up the retro a little bit. So I like your suggestion of a separate meeting. To Steve's point, the cadence of that is not sure.
Yeah, I think the cadence is more around when I finish something, right? Like, so if we have a regular meeting that is like every week, you have to tell us what you worked on, it becomes like a chore, right? Like, and that's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, at least in my head, and everyone can disagree. It's just my opinion, but in my head, the way that's supposed to be representative of something I'm excited about and I want to share with the team. And an opportunity to teach someone else on the team who maybe doesn't know what I've been working on, and something that, an opportunity to teach other people on our team how to do certain things. So I think that's like really cool. Steve, Nick, John, Tim, everyone here is going to be able to teach me something about how they work, and I should be able to teach people about what I'm doing as well. And I mean, I think it's totally something that would be like, you finish a feature that you've been working on, Steve or Nick or whoever, and go, hey, I'm really excited about this. I really want to present this to the team. And just, you can think of it as an opportunity to teach, but also an opportunity to practice those presentation skills and communication skills. And that's actually really helpful. That's valuable work. It's one of our like core things we have in our experience as we're sort of thinking about growing our career. It's actually an important part of it. So definitely an opportunity to practice all that stuff.
How about if like in that terms, like if it's something that like you really want to like share and present, like then yeah, we would like kind of mention it and like say like, hey, I want to present this, like let's pick a time, and whoever can come and check it out. And then like if there's just something that's like really small that you're just like, hey, I thought this was cool, just wanted to share this like real quick, we could throw that into like the weekly sync meeting or something like that, if it's just like a 1 minute thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I appreciate Tim's suggestion of adding it to a meeting, because then it doesn't feel like you've got to fill up like 10 minutes or 15 minutes with something. The other thing that might make sense is if you do a presentation and record it, which you should be doing anyway, then it gets async. And then the people who can't attend because they're in a whole other time zone and it's like 4 a.m. and they don't want to deal with this, get to actually enjoy that process as well. So let's just talk about this a bit more after. I think it makes sense to include short things in the weekly sync. That's a good suggestion. I like that. I should probably spell that right. And then why don't we start with that? And then I think if there's something even bigger than that, maybe 5 or 10 minutes or something, you just do a quick presentation and have people join and then just record it, and knowing that not everyone will attend, and that will just be a thing, but it will be part of our sort of our video stuff online. Does it make sense to people?
Yeah, that sounds great. And I would love having all those videos shared, because if we could share it with other people around the organization, who could share it with the general public. So I think that'd be really cool.
Well, and the other thing there is, like, as engineers, building up a reputation as being part of the community is actually really valuable. Like, that's actually a big deal. Like, think of it as you're like, oh, this is my open source contributions. And then you're actually talking about what you've contributed as an engineer. You can also point to videos that are actually on the YouTube channel and be like, yeah, this is this thing I built. It's actually really cool. So I don't know about talking about manager stuff, but that's just because I'm very self-deprecating. But anyway, yep. Next one. Do you want to read that, Tim?
Yeah, I think this one was from last week actually, but we wanted to schedule time to review the NPM integration and record and share with the team. We mentioned just having sort of doing exactly that, a demo of how the feature works. I think we could do that maybe once Steve gets a little further into the issue with subgroup, and maybe that could be something that we do. We have a meeting and we go over how that works and what you've uncovered and covered in a little bit more depth.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. That sounds good. Do you want to update the notes on there, Tim?
I will, yeah.
As a separate note, we're coming up on time. I don't want to take too long with this, but I'd like to get people's thoughts on whether they want to do this as a more of an interactive thing. I don't want to make it as For me, at least, I like having interactive experiences saying, oh, I was struggling with this, and someone saying, oh, what about that? Or, hey, come to me with this. Like, it's a little bit more interactive rather than just sort of like, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing. So I personally find that helpful. If people don't also find that helpful, we can continue with this format. It's totally fine. I'm not trying to dictate how we do this meeting. It should be valuable to people, right? It should be helpful to be able to let people know where you've succeeded and failed. And the question we should succeeded and failed, sorry, where we've had like things that didn't work well or didn't work or did work well, what we're really trying to do here is then identify the things that worked well and keep doing more of those things, right? And it shouldn't be as much of a, I did a thing, and I've done this myself. It shouldn't be as much of an, I did a thing, but more of a, hey, this is a process or a way of doing things that really helped me, and it's meant to be sharing with the team that this methodology worked for me. And the other people can go, oh, sweet, that's great, a great suggestion. So I don't know if people feel better about this being less of a an end of the week sort of almost stand up of items of things that happened, or we can actually take this as an opportunity to say, for example, if I look at Nick writing front end code and learning more, sort of distilling that a little bit into not did I just write the code and stoked that I actually got stuff done, is sort of thinking about how that worked and not what worked. Does that make sense? I think the intention of a retrospective is to improve the way we do things, and basically look at doing more of the good stuff. So I don't know if this is making sense. I feel like I'm just the only one talking, so I'm going to stop now.
I think this is very valuable. Can everybody hear me okay? My AirPods died. Okay. I think this is very valuable, especially in the sense that we're all a new team and we're all learning how to work with each other and still learning GitLab processes and all of those things. I think this is very valuable just to get an insight into, is anybody feeling like they're struggling a little bit, or are we getting lots of wins we don't know about, or is there anything that we need to improve that we don't know about? So for me, I feel like we're not doing this on other teams at this point, but I feel like it's super valuable, especially here in Package.
Steve, you look like you're leaning into the mic there, mate.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm the same way. I love interactive. More interaction is good for me. And yeah, I think it's just a good sort of like wrap up to the week, whether or not we keep it, synchronous or asynchronous as the team grows. That'll be up for a question, but I do think it's helpful. And yeah.
Cool. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that I really do value the whole interactive thing as well. I think it's probably going to result in better ideas coming from things when somebody's trying to explain something, and you've got 5, 6, 7 other people listening in and feel that they can actually contribute as well. The end result is going to be like ideas and brainstorming and things like that. And I think that's going to be really useful. The only thing I would say that's ever so slightly about that is that it can, if it's unstructured, it can lead to meetings taking longer, and sometimes you do have to it's pretty hard, but you do have to sort of recognize, hang on a sec, we are drifting here and we need to sort of reel this in, or go have a discussion about this elsewhere, or yeah, basically do something like that, just cautious about time. But yeah, simply because it's very, very tempting, especially as engineers, especially as people who want to make things better, to just sit there and daydream quite a lot and sort of think, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we do this, and yeah, just expand in that direction. Cool.
Did you want to add anything to this, Tim?
No, that all sounds great. I'm obviously on board. Some process that we've used to address what Nick said when things go off topic is I've usually done a call parking lot, which means you could just raise your hand, say parking lot, and then it becomes, okay, stop what we're talking about, and that'll be addressed after the meeting as a follow-up item. I think we could totally implement that for all of our meetings, because if we're going off board, just put in the chat in the Zoom parking lot, and then it'll get moved. We'll know to talk about it afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. I think everyone should feel free to do that. Just in the interest of time, we're right at time right now. But what I want to do is the next one, let's just make sure we're hammering through our points so that we can get through them quickly. Right now, it's sort of a little bit of pausing and stuff. Let's just get through them real quick so that we can actually use this more interactively. Sounds like everyone enjoys this meeting, so let's just keep this the same, and I'm cool with that. I'm happy to keep doing what people enjoy doing. We've got a couple of follow-up items that we'll put in the package channel. Cool.
Cool. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you.
Awesome.